A massive government force is quietly forming against Trump supporters. We saw the start of it, the politicalization. Sorry, struggling today. The politicalization of these government entities. We saw it started under Obama, and then we see it now cemented under the Biden regime. But before we get started, go ahead and hit that like button, share this out so we can get this information out there. Subscribe if you're not already a subscriber, and hit that alarm bell so you know when I'm putting out new stuff. Also, check out my link tree in the description. It has a link to my Patreon where I talk about things I can't talk about here. And there's also a link to my Instagram as well. All right, let's talk about this news. A bombshell Newsweek report details what most of us knew all along, that the FBI is increasingly spending its time and resources fighting Trump supporters. While they claim their efforts merely extend to violent rioters, the Bureau's reclassification of hate crimes and extremism has refocused its efforts on broadly defined extremism. Of course, they're not going to be worried about the extremism on the left. They're going to be focusing on the extremism on the right. Perhaps the most viral story demonstrating how the FBI uses its force against Republicans it doesn't like is in the infamous raid on Trump Florida home Mar-A-Lago. Um, I should say, let me put that in a better way. It's we've seen it in force against Republicans, um, like they did on the raid on Trump's on Mar-a-Lago home. Among the items the Bureau seized were personal belongings such as articles of clothing, gifts, photographs, and press clippings. Mind you, none of that had anything to do with with what they were supposedly looking for when they went into Mar-a-Lago. The chief target of the newly formed talons of the FBI, Trump supporters. Quote, the FBI is conducting 3 times as many domestic terrorism investigations than it was 5 years ago, with 70% of its open cases focused on, quote, civil unrest and anti government activities, the FBI documents reviewed by Newsweek found. The FBI's reclassification of the term domestic terrorism may be a more precise definition. The FBI stipulates that while terrorism is, quote, an act is focused on the government, extremism is, quote, focused on private individuals or institutions. So that's the difference between the two. But they're going to treat them the same, of course. But a senior government source explains how the new definition, quote, inserts the FBI and counterterrorism investigators into the political life of the nation, Newsweek reported. Um, Quote, it's not because the FBI is partisan, but more because society and Washington remains obsessed with January 6th and Donald Trump, said Newsweek source. It doesn't matter whether the activity is left or right, anti-Biden or anti-Trump, the official says. That's the pool of suspected terrorists. In other words, the focus is political terrorism. While before January 6th, racially motivated violent extremism was the chief domestic terrorism threat investigated by the FBI, after the Capitol riot, so called anti government and anti authority cases accounted for 90% of the FBI's investigation. Of the 2,700 cases currently being handled by the FBI, almost a third relates to January 6th or subsequent political activity connected to it, whatever that means. The regrettable actions of some Trump supporters at the Capitol on January 6th is the unique obsession of Beltway elites, mainly because of their own feelings of self importance, the official says. In other words, he said, quote, Washington is obsessed with threats to Washington itself. And that's what I've been alluding to for so many years. It's the uniparty. It's some Republicans and some Democrats, but ultimately it's about control. It's about Washington keeping power inside their bubble and not letting anyone else in. That's why they were so against Trump. That's why they're so against nationalism and patriotism, because it goes is anti. That's actually anti-Washington. They want to make the federal government even more powerful and have more control over the individuals, more control over the states, and take power away from the people. And if anything threatens that, that's when they send in the FBI. While FBI Director Christopher Wray has assured Americans that the Bureau, quote, cannot and do not investigate ideology and that it respects Americans' First Amendment rights, the FBI whistleblower Newsweek interview says that, quote, people associated are in practice exactly what drives the FBI thinking and its approach. Excuse me, sorry. And its approach to thwarting domestic terrorism. In a way, this is wholly unsurprising. I mean, this is these things that I've been laying out this past couple weeks. It seems it's just been verification of things that I've already believed, what I've already been saying. A lot of this stuff, that's basically what I've been reporting on the last couple weeks. It's just more evidence, more verification to what I've been preaching for so many years. But it seems a day hardly goes by without some new headline appearing that shows a general trend of the FBI working to advance partisan political interests. It's nothing to do with protecting people. It's about protecting the federal institution. That's what the FBI is really there for. Just this Sunday, bombshell leaked emails from Twitter showed that the same FBI lawyer involved in approving the faulty Foreign Intelligence Service Act, or FISA, warrant used to spy on the Trump campaign also was involved in helping the censor of the Hunter Biden laptop story on social media, as Twitter Deputy General, it was James Baker. And I've done tons of videos on him on my old channel with James Baker, his corrupt stuff with the whole Pfizer warrant stuff. But the FBI also reportedly met weekly with big tech platforms to dictate which posts they should censor. The FBI conducted an infamous raid on a pro-life father for protesting outside an abortion clinic in September. This is your FBI, not fighting terrorism, but going against normal, regular American citizens. The FBI does itself no favors in fostering a aura of bipartisanship when the violent attack carried out against pro-life pregnancy centers after the Dobbs decision was leaked received little to no attention from federal law enforcement. We still don't know who was behind that stuff. The FBI, even directed by Trump appointees, appears to have no problem tipping the scales one way or another for a certain political agenda. Newsweek's story is but the latest news that shows to what drastic measure the Bureau will go to prosecute an entire section of Americans in the name of prosecuting a few violent Trump supporters. I don't trust the FBI. Never trusted the FBI. Anyone that would spy on Aretha Franklin, cannot be trusted. But let me know what you think. Leave your comments down below. Like, share, and subscribe, and check out markrepublics.com for the latest news. Until next time, peace.